This coat is waterproof to a point. I've reached that point. Welcome to what is an absolutely hideous morning on top of Crow Hill. It looked to be a good sunrise, but there's a rain cloud above us. Anyway, got to crack on. It's the end of year traditional reflection plus awards ceremony for all the amazing contributors to Piano Book. And no, the title of this movie isn't clickbait. I'll get back to that in a minute. But this Christmas, I know, has been difficult for many of you. I thought we'd warm up the Christmas perineum, as my wife calls it, with something we're going to do called a winter warmer. Basically, tomorrow night on the Spitfire main channel, 1700 hours GMT, we will be live. The Spitfire composers, some friends, some guests, and yourselves who will be invited on to talk about the year that's just gone, the year ahead, ask us questions, but also I've got some cheeky little games for us which will earn big prizes. So do check out the link down below, put it in your diary, and see you from 1700 BST. I think it's going to be a couple of hours, something like that. Let's just see how it goes. One rule: bring to the live stream something you've never drunk before. Doesn't have to be alcoholic, just something you've never drunk before, whether that be a bit of kombucha, some goat's milk. I'm going to find some spirit that I've never consumed before. Should be quite a challenge, really. So, the awards you've got to look forward to. We have 3 awards for Best Reviewers. These were promised to you earlier in the year, and with many thanks for the dedication to reviewing the sample packs that you have all put into this project. 3 Demoist Awards. What's been so useful about these demos is we've used these to really judge the samplists as well. The number of demos done and how inspiring they seem to us is an indicator of how inspiring and characterful and interesting and unique the libraries are. So we have the most unique sample pack of the year. We've got my favourite sample pack of the year award, which is a personal gift from me to this samplist. The Audio Artemist Samplist of the Year, the most inspiring sample pack of the year, our Piano of the Year award, and finally, the Samplist of the Year. But it doesn't stop there. We also have a Saintly Award and a Hero Award for 2 very special contributors in thanks for their extraordinary efforts with Piano Book this year. So hold on for those. How was your Christmas? Did you enjoy it? Was it in isolation? Was it a bit grim? I was spoilt silly because it was my 50th, so I had this amazing watercolour done of the stack, so I've got to put this up. The weather's just horrific. I also had this action figure, which was uncanny. The Spitfire team made me my own labs instrument, which is just so cool, and thank you to all of you, and thank you for all of your hard work this year. It's just been insane. And finally, our very own Stephen Talamede just went beyond the call of anything and created this original piece with loads of people from Piano Book and some of my really close friends, and I really thank you for it. It's incredibly touching. If you want to check it out, click on the link down below, and do subscribe to Stephen's channel. He's nearly at 1,000 subscribers. Once you get across that line, you get all sorts of benefits that make your life as a YouTuber that much easier. So let's start with the best reviews and reviewers of the year. The reason we gave such an immense incentive here was that we believe the future of Piano Book is in the star rating system, but also the feedback that we give to people who are starting out on their journey, or indeed helping people to make sample packs just that little bit better. So often it's so close, and it's just that extra 1% that really makes it click into place. So we've worked really hard to study the reviews and the reviewers and to award these insane prizes. And again, thanks for just your commitment to this, because it was a lot of hard work, and hopefully soon we'll be able to sit on the rating system so the most popular, most inspiring, most unique sounds rise to the top, whilst we also support people at the beginning of their sample journey. So for most helpful special reviews. We'd like to reward Mark Lord with a silver collection from Spitfire Audio, courtesy of Spitfire Audio, thanks to them. Just really eloquently written, almost poetic and encouraging reviews that we thank you for. For the best reviewer, we're going to give a prize of a gold collection from Spitfire to Sam Ecoff. Again, just an incredible dedication to giving really insightful reviews that aren't demoralising. So thanks again, Sam. And finally, for just a sheer commitment to providing not just a huge number of reviews, but such high quality reviews, we'd like to give a platinum Spitfire collection to Alex Raptakis. And sorry if I've mispronounced your name. Congratulations, Alex. Right, let's get back down to the shed to look at most unique sample pack of the year. Possibly no surprises here, but Beep Boop was always going to feature by Oberlig. The most ingenious sample pack that is both a rabbit hole and a miracle, as it only uses 60 megabytes of samples. So if you're shy of hard drive space, this is the one for you. But this, for me, something that I really came away with from the Composer Walks was how all of these instruments had really helped people's mental health during this really difficult time that we've been going through and this uncertain time that we're going through now. And for me, this is just pure joy. And I don't know, it's just something that makes the sustain pedal fun. And then the GUI is just fantastic. It just does all different things, and I don't understand it one bit, but I love it. If this sample pack was a person, I'd want it to be my friend. So congratulations, Oberlig. You'll be receiving my Christmas winter hamper. Now to a special award. A very personal award, my favourite sample pack of the year. Totally subjective, totally based on my taste, but here's an award for it. This is my personal award for my favourite sample library of the year, the Dictaphone Loop Synth by Peter Flint. And thank you, Peter, for all of your submissions. I really, really enjoy them. They seem to centre around crap keyboards. Now, why have I picked this? Well, in thanks, really, for inspiring a theme that made it onto this major film. And for that, it sums up why I love piano books so much. It aids composition. I like instruments that make nice music fall out of my fingers, and this does it with spades. And the prize, remember these? Well, I'm down to one, and you're going to have it. Thanks so much, Peter, and this will be winging its way to you, my final and last shallow water. I guess I need to get rid of it, to get rid of the PTSD of standing in those incredibly frigid waters. I can't tell you how cold, particularly the second time, how cold the sea was. And I was so disappointed when you thought it was photoshopped. We had to do the reveal of me climbing out of the sea, because it's the North Sea, and I'm in Scotland, and it was the autumn. But thanks so much for your support. Getting to 100,000 subscribers is, well, literally 90,000 more subscribers than I thought I'd ever get on this channel. Now, reflecting on stuff I didn't achieve, the thing I always regret is saying I'm going to do stuff on this channel and then not doing it. Now, one of those things that I've been saying for the last few years is this library company. Now, the reason why I haven't done it is not because I'm a flake, it is because I can't let you down. It's such a massive undertaking. If you recall, there's thousands of demos that you guys have done for these sample packs, and I think most of them are awesome and would do really well on a library of our making. The problem is, it is a massive undertaking, and you know, I can toe dunk and do things that don't work out. That's fine, that's the risk that I take, but I wouldn't want you to take that risk on our behalf. So I have to get it right. It is still on the cards. It is something I hassle the board about all the time, but it's a massive undertaking and something that we don't take lightly. So that's news there. I also didn't do my album. I started recording it, But I'm not going to whip myself too much because I kind of did do an album, and that's an original soundtrack album for a film called Unwelcome, which is coming to UK cinemas in February, I believe, and it's a very broad release. So do check it out. We're going to be releasing an original soundtrack album and also a sample pack, which I think is really exciting. So whilst it's disappointing not to have done my artist album, I have done something I'm incredibly proud of that will appear in album form. Next up, the Audio Artemis Best Samplist of the Year Award. The Audio Artemis Samplist of the Year Award goes to Skyscape Paradise, otherwise known as Katie Alice, who has contributed 3 very inspiring instruments to Piano Book this year. And what's more, has been a really keen supporter of the Piano Book cause. I love this very kind of punk style of GUI, and you've used these brilliant Muga Fugas. Stuff like a Buchla easel is out of most people's reach, and one of the really magical parts of Piano Book is the ability to provide people with hands-on access to instruments that would usually evade us. I certainly have never played an easel, and I think what you have captured is very much in the spirit of it. So thank you, Katie, thank you, Skyscape Paradise, and please keep up the amazing work and support. We really appreciate it. You'll be winning a copy of my winter hamper also. When I say my final video, not only is this my final video of 2021, but also I'm going to take a hiatus. Now, the reason for that is something I really took away from the 3 big composer walks that I went on this year, was the importance of the videos that we make, namely tutorial videos. Now, you would have seen this logo popping up here, and I don't know if you've checked out the Spitfire Academy page. It's a fantastic aggregate of so many videos that we've made over the years. But something I really got from the composer walks was the importance of these videos. People of all levels welcome help, but also support and encouragement. So I'm going to take January off this channel to create some amazing new content for Spitfire Academy. And what that centres around, well, I'll talk to you about that in a bit. The beautiful music you're listening to is by our first demoist award winner of the year, and this is the best demo, which goes to Daniel Fucher in thanks for all your work, but particularly this wonderful piece of music. We'd like to give you a copy of Albion Solstice. So, what's next up in the shed? I think it's Most Inspiring Sample Pack. Lullaby, created by Carlos Parza, a beguiling, intriguing time capsule of a sample pack. See, what Carlos did is he sampled himself in 1995 into one of these Casio SK1s. What I personally like about it is that there is also some different layers that have been added over the last 2 decades, including a Casio CZ1000, which is my first synthesizer, and I do agree it is a most underrated synth. Now, this is not necessarily why we've awarded Most Inspiring Instrument to you, Carlos, but for me, it just really sums up the spirit of Piano Book, because it encompasses the romance of sampling. And what we're basically doing is going back in time to the mid-90s, a moment in time, and we're creating new music from that moment back then, which I think is pretty incredible. And all of the different layers that you've added over the decades, it reminds me of, there's this street apparently in Cambodia where they sell pho, which is the soup that's very popular over there. And apparently the stocks haven't come off the heat for over 30 years. They just keep adding to it. And I think that's what's wonderful about this. This is percolated over decades. And for me, it embraces the romance of what we're doing here, and certainly the impetus behind me continuing this arduous adventure of sampling. Congratulations, Carlos. You'll also win one of my winter hampers, which are part of the winter sale at Spitfire Audio, which is going to be closing soon. We know that Spitfire Audio stuff is expensive, so do these sales as an opportunity for you to top up your arsenals, to inspire you in the new year with new sounds and new avenues of exploration. I had that in mind for my winter hamper, which is all about new year, new sounds, different ways of working, different ways of thinking. So check out the winter sale, linked down below, and my hamper also linked below. As many of you will recall, Piano Book started with just pianos, and it was all about the idea of pianos having a story, tended to be handed down through generations. They tend to belong to people's houses, not to people themselves, to families. And what I love about pianos is a little bit like a red wine, that there's no day when it sounds the same. Much to our chagrin at Spitfire, we had to abandon so many piano recordings because the piano sounded so different between some seasons. But basically it bears the scars and the bruises from everyone who have played it, the way it's been tuned, the countless times they've been tuned. And as a consequence, what's so romantic about sampling is it captures that moment when that piano sounded like that, and it'll never sound like that again. And not only are we playing these pianos, we're playing them in these spaces, in these living rooms, in these classrooms and concert halls. Piano Book started with pianos, and then we realised there was kind of a socio-economic attachment to people who had access to pianos, and how that was a bit unfair, and just opened it up to all instruments. But just going back to our roots, let's name our favourite piano of the year. The Bluthner Style 6 by Richard Vosgatter. It's an old family piano with just a heartbreaking story. Piano Book, first and foremost, for me, is a community. And so for me, the stories are as important as the sample packs, the people and their experience. And this is particularly moving. So let me tell you a little bit of this story. The old family piano, it comes to me now after the passing of my mother on March 16th, 2020. She was diagnosed with ALS 6 months earlier. On that night, she is in her bed, unable to speak, struggling for air. A ventilator pressing oxygen into her failing lungs hisses and puffs. It's soft, timely heaving, devastatingly peaceful. The piano is right next to her, and I want to play something for her, but now somehow just can't. Later, I wish I'd given myself into that. So what he's done is he's done a memorial version of the piano, and he's included an ambient recording in the room on the night of his mother's death. And there's just a very gentle, soft sound of the ventilator helping her breathe. And his request is that you take this recording, find a piano that you find inspiring to play, and to possibly create that moment that he missed out on. It's just insanely moving. Richard says, if it resonates with you, why don't you make a recording and send it to me? I'd love to hear it. He's got a link there on the GUI. It is also a beautiful piano. So thanks so much, Richard. The Piano Book team would like to gift you a copy of something I'm incredibly proud of, Albion Solstice. 2021 was a year of loss for many of you. I lost my mum. And this Christmas was weird. It's one thing to have a Christmas without a dad, but there's something about mums and Christmas. And missed her terribly. And again, because of this bloody pandemic, couldn't see any of my pals either. But I am feeling very positive about the new year. And I really want to lay my cards on the table. When I started this vlog, something had happened in my life. I basically, to be candid, had decided to retire from being a media composer. It just got the better of me. It was this one moment on this TV series, and I walked off it. It was just one person. It was a narcissist, one narcissist too many. And I just basically said, I'm done. This TV series has become a huge franchise, which is slightly galling, but it was my choice. And what my wonderful wife did is said, listen, don't burn your bridges. Just say that you're only going to do stuff that you want to do with people that you'd want to work with. And you, in your own head, can be retired, but this means you can go back into it. Since then, I've basically been working on a series of really wonderful projects, including, obviously, Inside Number 9, which I talk about a lot on here, which is one of the greatest honours of my life. And what I then did was set up this vlog, because I thought, I'm in an interesting position. I've taken myself out of the marketplace in composing, and therefore I can talk honestly about it without it threatening a career that I wasn't striving for. And in so doing, I, funny enough, thought about the job, and it's kind of been a form of therapy. And I would say that my biggest breakthrough was the moment I asked, what is composing for? Certainly to media. And the answer is to help tell the story. And this was like a parting of the clouds, because suddenly it didn't become about ego at all. My struggle with narcissists, or narcissists' struggle with me as a codependent. It was simply the pragmatism of telling a story in the way that director, producer, the makers want you to tell it. And suddenly I was freed from the shackles of that conflict. And I worked out how to enjoy it again. Notes became interesting puzzles, not problems. And a director that I'd worked with many years ago, John Wright, asked me to do a film, and I said yes. And boy, have I got the bug back. Part of what I'm going to be doing in January, this pilot that I'm creating for Spitfire Academy, is this extraordinary log of how to write a film score, which I'm really looking forward to sharing with you, to return back to film scoring. I think my first in 5 years or so. I'm working on a really big series at the moment, and I'm just so enjoying collaborating with the program makers, but also with the amazing musicians that I've met up here. So next year, there'll be all sorts of logs of my experiences and lessons that I've learned back in the saddle as a film composer. And don't worry, I'm going to carry on being honest. There is such an amazing opportunity for us music makers, us composers. I really genuinely think we're entering into a golden age. I think next year is going to be a stonker. I really do. I feel really positively. Speaking in these composer walks, it's really interesting the number of composers I'm meeting who have started writing bespoke music for YouTubers. There's 60 million YouTube creators out there. All of these streaming services, it won't last forever. All things come to pass. But I think it's there for the taking. I really do. So the music you're listening to at the moment is by our demoist of the year, and that is I'm So Cold. My iPhone fingers aren't working. Oh, this is frustrating. This coat is waterproof to a point. I've reached that point. So I'm terribly sorry. Best demoist of the year is Ryan Weeks. Many congratulations and many thanks for all your wonderful compositions. Right, the moment we've all been waiting for, Samplist of the year. We'd like to congratulate Sage Reynolds as Piano Book Samplist of the year. He's provided us with so many inspiring instruments that live and breathe the spirit of Piano Book. The favourite of which for me is his seminal harmonic flights, which I believe is a double bass played in just the most unexpected ways. It's people like you, Sage, who make composing an absolute joy. Please do continue on this sampling journey you're on, because what you're doing is just absolutely fantastic. And thank you so much on behalf of the composing community, and to indeed the rest of you samplists, for making our lives just that much more kind of joyous and, dare I say it, easy. So congratulations, Sage. We'd like to award you with a Spitfire Platinum collection. But don't spend your time just working with those commercial samples. Please make us some more soon. I'm not entirely sure how we're going to get in touch with you about these awards at this moment. I would have found out by the time I posted this video, so check out the instructions in the video description down below. The music we're listening to is by the Audio Artemist Demoist of the Year. Now, if you don't know Audio Artemist, they're a company that promotes sample developers who basically aren't blokes. And we thought it highly appropriate to highlight the amazing female talent that we have within Piano Book. But the ratios between men and women on Piano Book are very much indicative of the ratios you get with audio engineers, producers and media composers, something that Spitfire Piano Book is really striving to change. A little bit like when we moved Piano Book from just being pianos to being all instruments, or even stuff that isn't instruments. What this gentleman has done has helped us to move off proprietary formats. The Decent Sampler format by David Hilowitz is an incredible opportunity, but this gentleman took the instruments from the proprietary format that is Logic EXS or Logic Sampler, which basically means you have to own an Apple, you have to own Logic, and he moved them onto Decent Sampler by creating a translation system. He's now done that for Contact, and 222 Contact instruments have now been moved onto Decent Sampler. So I'd like to award the Piano Book Saint of the Year award to Fred Poirier, and for this honour I'd like to bestow on you a Spitfire Everything Drive, everything Spitfire has ever made. I also know that you have a wingman, Kyle Bradshaw. We're going to get you a Platinum collection, winging its way to you. To give this community that amount of time is really something that needs to be rewarded. Next year is going to be incredibly exciting for Piano Book. We're going to be introducing all sorts of different incentives, so you're not waiting a year for some rainy awards show. So there's some really exciting stuff coming up starting in February. We hope to switch on the rating system soon, and there's going to be all sorts of enhancement. The gentleman, Pete Clark, that we got to do the website is going to stay on the same number of days a week that he's doing to create the website, so it's just going to get better and better and better. I thank you for your patience. We're going to be looking at the forum. We're going to be looking at all sorts of crazy stuff. If I had one piece of advice, it's a piece of advice that's been given to me through various different sources. I went out to LA and did a cribs, and this piece of advice was repeated to me by this world-class record producer. And it is, just keep going, because most people don't. If you keep going, you get better. If you keep going, you meet people. I mentioned in my Christmas Day film that I don't know of any composer who hasn't mentioned another composer who's been fundamental in their career development. Start music, finish music. Start music, finish music. Rinse, repeat, experience. Just keep going, because most people give up. I hope to see you at the Winter Warmer. We've got Homai confirmed, we've got Cairo confirmed, Oliver, Paul Thompson, and I've got some very exciting friends and guests who are going to pop by as well, and it would be great to see you. Remember, bring a drink that you've never drunk before, doesn't have to be alcoholic, and we'll all together toast the wonderful and slightly mad world of composers and soundsmiths and samplists. All that's left to say really is thank you so much to the Piano Book volunteers. They've worked so hard at these awards, really discussing and looking at various different factors. Thank you everyone for your contributions to this extraordinary kind of social experiment. It's just an unexpected joy and honour to be part of, and worth getting wet again. Happy New Year. Be safe, be healthy, and be prosperous. And I'll see you again, well, tomorrow, and then on this channel back in February. Best of luck with the new year. Literally soaked through.